Good morning to you guys all here. A happy Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. And we got, once again, a lot to talk about ongoing today. We've got a rare tornado and hatch tail risk for portions of Washington State and Oregon. We will be live covering this event this afternoon as well for all of you that live up there that need that coverage. We'll be giving out tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, all of that, etc., as we always do. So make sure you guys stay tuned and have alerts on your phones for that. We've also got a flash flooding risk that will be unfolding across southern and central Texas, as well as a severe weather risk. And then we are continuing to talk about the threat for a significant severe weather outbreak, more and more becoming more and more possible as we go towards Sunday and Monday of this coming week and next week. So a lot to talk about over the next 7 days. As always, guys, I'm going to try and keep this video as brief as I can, but there's a lot to talk about, so just kind of bear with me here as we go through this week here. So we'll go ahead and start out with what you guys are seeing on your screen here, and this is our upper vapor water imagery here. And basically what we got is the same thing as yesterday. Pacific jet stream down here giving us a surface low developing across Texas that brought some pretty decent hail last night, and some wind to southern Oklahoma and northern and central Texas. The DFW area had a lot of hail last night. We saw some reports of golf ball sized hail, etc. So not unnormal for them to see that down there, but definitely did see some hail down there last night. That moisture is now moving its way to the east. We will see a ramp up of some more storms, but it's going to be down towards the Mexico and Texas line and down towards more of the coastal areas that we see that severe weather risk. We'll get into that here in just a second, but I do want to mention, like I said, that Pacific jet stream down there with that surface low developing. We've also still got a very, very strong upper level ridge in place here as well, an atmospheric river bringing us a severe weather threat this afternoon. Once again, a very rare tornado and hail risk that does not happen very often. I think we probably haven't seen something like this in almost a decade. So I'll go back and check on that and double check for that information. But I'm pretty sure it's been quite some time since we've seen an upgraded risk zone for tornadoes and wind and hail up there. So be mindful if you're up there today. Have a way to get alerts on your phones as always. If you guys have friends or family that watch the streams or that need coverage, like I said, we'll be covering that. We do have a northwesterly flow still on top of our ridge here, giving us rain-cooled, some snow showers further up into the north there, up in the high plains. But most of this either as just clouds or isolated rain and showers. There will be a severe risk that does start tomorrow for portions of the Midwest and Ohio Valley, and we'll get into that here again in just a second. But I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what we're seeing here. You can also see an upper level low still over here in portions of the Canada and Northeast corridor as we watch for that system to eventually move off. So I do want to talk about really quickly in a brief nutshell what's going to be happening today and kind of what we're going to see over the next couple of days severe weather-wise. It's going to be very, very active over the next 7 days. So do kind of pay attention to this, please, as you guys always will. I want to start out with what we're seeing today is we do have a low end marginal risk for severe weather down here in Texas. This is going to be a wind and hail driven risk zone. I'm not expecting any tornadoes today. That will change as we go into tomorrow. We'll talk about that here again in just a second, but a very low end risk zone for severe weather down there. That's going to inquire portions of Laredo, Texas. We've got portions of outside of the western side of Brownsville, Texas there. So very low end risk zone. So nothing to be too concerned about. Light green shaded colors mean general thunderstorm risk zone. So we're not expecting anything severe in those. And then you get up here into the Northwest Pacific. And once again, for the first time in many, many years, guys, we have a marginal and a slight risk for a tornado and hail driven event. And so you're like, all right, what do I do if I'm in, Oregon or Washington State? We don't have storm shelters up here. If you get a tornado warning, you go to your safest place. That's a bathroom, that's a closet, the most interior wall of your house. Go there. If you get a warning, like I said, we'll be calling those out on stream. Just have a way to be alert for today. I know this is not something you guys typically see up there too much, but just have a way to get alerts there. There could be some spin up tornadoes as well as some pretty significant hail that unfolds up there. So we'll be, like I said, in coverage mode for that today. Level 1 risk there in the green. Level 2 risk there in the yellow. Tornado risk is a 2 and a 5%. So yesterday when we made this video, we were only talking at a 2% tornado risk. They did go ahead and upgrade that to a 5%. So this is a pretty serious event, and it needs to be taken seriously up there for you guys. It's going to include portions of Portland, Salem, Oregon, portions of Seattle. We've also got, I believe, Vancouver, Washington in there, Salem, like I said, Graham, Oregon, and then portions of the Tacoma area as well in Eugene, Oregon. So a pretty decent area tomorrow or today for severe weather. Wind threat today is very low on the 5% side of things. So there could be some winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour, but the biggest thing is going to be that hatched hail risk. Once again, we could see hail up to 2.5, maybe even 2.75 inches in diameter there. You're going to have basically colder air aloft. Those updrafts will be able to sustain that colder air aloft and give us a higher chance of some stronger hail out there. So just be very, very mindful of that. Anybody in that yellow hatched area could see hail up to maybe 2.75 inches in diameter. Outside of that, we're looking at anything for 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So not expecting anything too crazy, but just enough for you guys up there just to make things very unique and very rare. So not something we see all the time. We want to get to tomorrow's risk zone as well. We have a slight risk for severe weather down in Texas. Go figure. As I mentioned, with that, we've got 2 areas that we'll be watching for severe weather. This will be be a wind and a hail risk for portions of the Ohio Valley and Midwest here. This is really actually more of a hail risk. We're going to have, once again, some rain, cool thunderstorms moving through with our temperatures aloft being a little bit cooler than what they are at the surface, giving us a hail-driven event. So this will be isolated hail and wind today or tomorrow for your Thursday forecast across the Midwest and portions of Iowa. I'm going to be on standby for coverage tomorrow. Me and Rochelle have something we have to go to tomorrow, so I probably won't be on doing late coverage until tomorrow late afternoon. So we will get on to cover this as I would like to do anytime we have a slight risk or higher. So we'll be in coverage mode for this tomorrow as well. Tornado risk is going to be down toward the coastline, so we don't have a tornado risk up here in the Midwest and Iowa. It's less than 2%. But we do have a 2% down here into the central and southern portions of Texas, and that's going to include Houston, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Laredo, and Brownsville, Texas. So have a way to get alerts on your phones. We'll be on standby for that as well for tomorrow. Wind threat is at 15 and 5% in both portions of New Mexico and Texas, and then a 5% wind threat from portions of Kansas, Nebraska through Missouri, Illinois, and western Indiana. And then hail threat is also 15, 5, and 5%. So looking at a wind and hail threat and a tornado threat, all modes down here, but that wind and hail threat are going to be more of a priority for portions of Texas, and then a wind and hail threat up towards the Iowa and Illinois, Indiana corridor there. Now, as we go into day 3, you're like, all right, when are we going to get a break of this? Well, Friday we do have severe weather. It's very low in severe weather, but I will mention now, SPC has contemplated maybe issuing a slight risk down here for portions of Texas and Louisiana. So we could get 3 slights back to back. It wouldn't surprise me if that does happen. But as of right now, it looks like a wind and low end tornado risk down here for Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. I mentioned that surface low kind of deepening as it moves its way off the Gulf, giving us a threat for all modes of severe weather. So on Friday, we'll have severe weather threat for Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Austin, Texas, and then Shreveport, Louisiana there in portions of southern Arkansas. And then we do have a small marginal risk zone for wind and hail once again as well for Lincoln, Nebraska. Really going to be more of a Nebraska event here, so be very, very mindful again for that. Not expecting anything crazy. We'll talk about that if that does change, in fact. And then I want to get to something else. We've had some more changes, guys, to this weekend's event. This weekend's going to be our bigger event. At least that's what's forecasted to be. We don't have any severe weather expected for Saturday. That'll probably change. We had that risk zone 48 hours ago that was out, that big slight risk that covered Oklahoma, Missouri, and portions of Arkansas and eastern Kansas. Well, that got dropped yesterday, and they said potential's too low. There's going to be a capping inversion in place. There still looks to be a capping inversion in place. If for some reason they see that the models change on that, they might issue a marginal or slide again. We'll kind of watch that for day 4. Day 5 is where things get interesting, and I really want to talk about day 5 because, once again, yesterday, if you guys remember in the video, we did not have Texas and southern Louisiana in the slight risk. They had pulled it out again, so and they had actually shrunken down a little bit further of this risk zone to the east. It was further to the west slightly. So what they did overnight last night is, once again, they go back and forth with this as model agreement does get closer to be a thing as we get closer to this event happening. But you can see now a slight risk that extends into central Texas here, east central Texas, now back into Louisiana as far as the I-10 corridor, and then back now up into portions of western North Carolina, back into western West Virginia there, and more of into Ohio now. So this is a level 2 risk for severe weather. There will probably be an enhanced risk that gets issued. I've seen more and more model trends trying to go up with this system here, be more of a hail and wind driven event. I don't see this being a big time tornado outbreak. I think we'll see more wind and hail. There will be a corridor of stronger tornadoes. And if we give, and I'll talk about this here again on the models in just a minute, but if we look at what the models are suggesting, it looks like that's going to be around the Kentucky, Tennessee, East Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana line. That's kind of, once again, where it's going to be, is that lower Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley is where I'm thinking worst case impacts will be as we go towards Sunday's event. So level 2 risk is what's placed out right now. We'll get a marginal risk in about 48 hours. We'll get our all 3 kind of our hazards here in the next 2 to 3 days. We'll start to see our short range and medium range models get into play for this in the next 48 hours as well. So I'll have more and more details for you as we get closer to this event, as always. But guess what, guys? We're not done after this. All modes of severe weather on Sunday will be possible. We go to day 6, and what did they do? They expanded that slight risk once again last night for Monday. This is for next Monday, March 31st, and we have a slight risk level 2 risk zone here from Virginia down through East Tennessee, western and central and eastern North Carolina, down into South Carolina, all of Georgia, most of all of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the panhandle of Florida. And, you know, yesterday's risk zone was a little bit smaller. I think what we're seeing is a recovery of our atmosphere on Monday. So some people in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia might see storms on Saturday or on Sunday night and then get a refire of storms on Monday if that boundary is still in place. So we're going to have to pay attention to this really, really closely for Monday. But nevertheless, level 2 risk out of 5 for severe weather. All modes will be possible. I think damaging winds and hail will be the more primary threat for this event as we go into Monday. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. We will be live covering all severe weather events. So as always, you guys will be covered. I love to do that to keep you guys safe and to keep you guys educated on what's going on. So that is our risk zones that we have in place here for the next 7 days. We're going to start to look at next week. Once we get closer to next week, there could be some more severe weather. I think we'll be continuing to see an active pattern as we go towards next week. I want to talk about the radar and what we're going to see up here in the Northwest Pacific today. And so, this is going to be our composite reflectivity. You can see our big low pressure system swinging in here. And I want to pay attention to right around 4 to 6 p.m. I'm also going to let you guys know we will probably get our first tornado watch today for the first time in quite some time. It's either going to be a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch for the first time in many, many years for the Northwestern Pacific. Not something you see very often. So when I call out that watch while we're on stream today, just be very, very mindful that this is not something that you guys see very often. So please take it seriously. You can see as we go towards 5 and 6 p.m. this afternoon here, at least UTC time, into the central time zone here and into the Pacific time zone, around your guys' time. So Pacific time zone, this is going to be between 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon. We see supercells firing off here along our boundary, and this is going to give us that threat, like I said, for a couple tornadoes, some large hail. You can see a couple of those little helicity tracks that are attached to those cells. They're giving us that threat for a long track cell or two. This is going to briefly turn into a damaging wind event once we hit past the 5 to 6 o'clock hour for you guys over there in the Northwestern Pacific, and then this is going to become pretty much done with. So we're looking at about a 2, maybe 4 or 5 hour event here. I don't expect this to be a long duration event, but definitely have a way to get alerts on your phones. We have instability. Our shear is in place. Our dew points are very decent. So everything is on the table today for severe weather up there for you guys in the Northwestern Pacific. And then after that, that front will swing through and you'll get lots of rain, mountain snow, and wind behind that threat. So just something to be very, very, very mindful of. Now, I do want to talk about here briefly what we're seeing and why we're seeing what we're seeing, especially going into this week. As I mentioned as of yesterday's video as well, high pressure ridge still dominating, northwesterly flowing jet stream on top of that. We do have a surface low that is going to be working its way and developing as it crosses into Texas tonight for tomorrow's setup. That continues to work its way east here, and you can see that surface low and that ridge start to kind of break down. And once that ridge breaks down, it's going to allow for a jet stream, a zonal jet stream here, or meridional jet stream, I should say, to develop. We'll have that surface low developing down here. We'll have days and days of rain. A flash flooding threat, a significant flash flooding threat will be possible down into portions of Texas and Louisiana, especially the southeast Texas corridor from Houston over to San Antonio. So be very, very mindful of those creeks and streams and watch those levels of those if they do rise. To have a way to go if you get those warnings for flash flooding. That surface level low deepens, and then, like I said, for your Friday, I would not be surprised for an upgraded slight risk for severe weather for Louisiana, East Texas, maybe Mississippi. We'll have just enough low-level shear and medium level shear here, or mid-level spin, to kind of give us an isolated severe weather risk zone. But then as we go into Saturday and Sunday, watch what happens here. This is where models have really started to agree more on the placement of our jet stream. Yesterday, we were looking at our GFS model run and our European, and it was basically showing us more of a negatively tilted jet stream. It looks like we're just going to have a zonal jet stream that's going to be flowing here out of the West Pacific, giving us, like I said, a pretty overall large risk zone threat for severe weather. All modes are going to be on the table for this risk zone. We don't really have too much of an organized, like, mid-latitude cyclone or anything crazy like we've had over the last couple of weeks, but there will be a low pressure system here that will be our initiation. We're going to have to get more into details as we get closer to this event, but it does look like we could have a forcing issue, which forcing allows for storms to basically organize very quickly. It keeps like a capping inversion in the atmosphere in the morning, so storms can intensify in the afternoon. If we have morning time storms, it could, make or break Sunday's setup. It could, there's just a lot of things that we have to watch for that could be a factor as we get closer to this event, and that will come as we get closer to this event happening. But what you guys see there, continue to see a pretty decent active jet stream here, and this will go through Sunday and into Monday there, and then I want to watch what happens as we go into late next week. So the potential for maybe even a stronger system here with a stronger jet stream over the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, the Deep South for even more of a potential more significant event next week. So just something we're going to watch for. I'm not going to go into more specifics. We'll talk more about that in the live stream today and just in general in future videos, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea on what we could be looking at. I think all modes of severe weather will be possible on Sunday and Monday for that bigger event, but regardless of that, if you're in a risk zone between today, tomorrow, Friday, and on Sunday and Monday, have a way to get alerts, get your family, your loved ones prepared as always. But that's what I've got for you guys. Be safe out there, be weather aware. We will be live on TikTok probably around 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll be live keeping everybody safe. But other than that, guys, have a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see you in the next one.